Hi, it's Friday, and Friday's our day for kind of a mixed bag. So today we're going to look at the blues. And I'm going to kind of cover both extremes, I think you'll find. One of the first albums I'm going to give you is kind of a really traditional blues album by a couple of artists that are very well known, Sonny Terry, Brownie McGhee, and it's their album, Sonny and Brownie. Now, while they do some good stuff, they also feature some nice players in here. And this is another reason why I like this album, because the special guests they brought in. Well, they do a lot of traditional blues songs and stuff that they become well known for. They're also featuring Arlo Guthrie on a few of the songs and British bluesman John Mayall, who we'll talk about in a future episode, who, from the 1960s with British blues, he's still touring and performing this year even. He's out there and going, and he's never given up. For somebody that really has never had a hit, John Mayall has never stopped playing and never stopped recording. So Sonny and Brownie give you a chance to hear some of the traditional blues. They feature some great harmonica playing, as well as appreciate some of the guests they have with Arlo Guthrie in at this point, where after this is the post Alice's Restaurant, post Woodstock, Arlo, and John Mayall. Now the other end of the scale is a whole different style of blues. And this is one, and I know when I mention it, people criticize me. They say, that's not really blues. It was just a gag. It was all for fun. But surprisingly, there was a lot of impact with this. And this is the Blues Brothers album, Briefcase Full of Blues. Yes, now I understand a couple of guys from Saturday night, they were just getting together, doing their little tribute to the blues, and, it was maybe a one-time thing on the show. But they took it very seriously. And they went on to record 3 albums under the Blues Brothers. This one, to me, was especially great because it introduced me to a lot of people I'd never heard before. Floyd Dixon, Delbert McClinton. I went out and bought albums by Delbert ever since I've heard this because of music that they exposed me to. We got a couple of tunes on here by a Downchild Blues Band. Again, a band out of Toronto that Dan had an affinity for. But the album itself was anything but a joke. They had some of the best players playing in their backup band. We had 2 players from Booker T's MGs. We had Steve Cropper and Duck Dunn. We got Tom Scott playing saxophone, LA session musician. Tom Malone on trombone, who's played with just about everybody. It'd be a shorter list to come up with who he hasn't played for. And many of you may know him from the Saturday Night Live band, as well as being trombone player on David Letterman's band. We have Lou Marini, played sax with Blood, Sweat, and Tears and on the Saturday Night Live band. Alan Rubin, great lead trumpet player from New York City, who played with Saturday Night Live band as well and recorded on a number of different albums as a sideman. So the band itself was top notch. And the recording, the arrangements are great as well. Sure, they may have done it as a gag, but boy, they really put together a great band and a great group of songs. Now, I got to see them, probably it was in the mid-'80s. Dan Aykroyd brought the Blues Brothers up to Ottawa. They did a fundraiser for Carleton University, where he'd been a student at one time. And to see these guys perform live was just amazing. By this time, John Belushi passed away, so Jim Belushi was filling in as the male lead singer for the group. We didn't have Tom Malone. He was, I think, still working at Letterman's. He wasn't able to be there. Paul Schaefer was there, and other than that, the lineup was pretty much the same as what we had on the album here. It was just a great concert and a great chance to see a band that was made up of so many special individuals. Now, they did record another album, and I think it was from the same concert, Universal Amphitheater, this Blues Brothers, and it was called Made in America. I didn't find the songs as satisfying. They weren't quite as bluesy as what we had in the original Briefcase Full of Blues. It's still a nice one to complete your collection. And again, same band in there, so the band's tight. The band's worth the price of the album as well. Now, the other one in between that I claim they recorded, but it really wasn't a special Blues Brothers recording, of course, was the one for the Blues Brothers movie, the soundtrack. Same musicians. We've replaced, in one case here, we lost Paul Schaefer and brought another piano player in, Murphy Dunn. And this one not truly all Blues Brothers music. We've got music from Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Cab Calloway, but a few Blues Brothers songs as well. A couple of the classics here is their version of Sweet Home Chicago and Jailhouse Rock. So the three albums that I think have the big band blues, Briefcase Full of Blues, Made in America, and the soundtrack to the Blues Brothers. It may have started out as a joke, but it turned out to be anything but. And it was a good exposure for a lot of great blues artists whose material they covered. So if you get a chance, check them out. It's going to be jazz again on Monday. So until then, stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you on Monday.